Welcome to our Sunday Talks. It is good to have you here, although these don't go online on Sundays, but this is the result of what we learn on our Sundays in our community, in our church, and we're talking about relationships. And we have come to the end of this series, which has been amazing, probably one of the best series that I have ever followed. We talked about relationships that changed us. Today, the goal is to talk about conflict resolution. Conflict resolution is something that is very present in all of our lives, in every area of our lives. There's conflict resolution at work, at home, family, school, relationships, friendships, all over the place. So it is very important for us to learn how to resolve conflict. Let's go. Let's talk about conflict resolution.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go.
Now, the word conflict already has a negative connotation to it. We go like, oh, conflict. No one likes conflict resolution. I don't think anyone is particularly good at conflict resolution, at least the people that I know of. I am certainly one that loves conflict. I'm very confrontational, but I'm not necessarily good at it. Conflict resolution in its definitions, like how we resolve problems. This is why we exist, to solve problems. But I don't like the term conflict. If you're solving a problem, if you're resolving the conflict, you're restoring that relationship. We learned a lot last Sunday about restoring relationship. The first thing that we learned is that how we confront people is how we conform to Jesus's image. That is really good. Like how we confront people is how we conform to Jesus' image. We are called to become his image. Through the process of our sanctification, we've come to Jesus, we've been justified, and it's beautiful. But through the time that we live here on earth, we will have troubles. We will have conflicts with people. And how we solve these conflicts, how we confront people, and how we are confronted actually tells us how we're conforming to the image of Jesus. That is the process of discipleship through and through. Once we give our lives to Jesus, the goal is to become mature and more mature until we reach the maturity of Jesus. So when we get this idea that we're becoming like Jesus, there is an implied truth here that we are nothing like Jesus. Most of the times when we look at the stories in the Bible, we want to look like the hero, not like the villain. But the reality is most of the times we're the villains, not the heroes. So the process is to become just like Jesus. And how we confront is how we conform to his image. Now, one very particular thing that Jesus had is that he was very open with his rebukes, very open. He was clear. He had the expectations very clearly laid out. This is what I want for you guys. And if you keep my commands, you'll be my friends. This is how it is. So he was very open about the rebukes when they missed the mark. But he was private in the delivery, which means like we're not called to shame people in public. That's not our goal. Our goal is to make sure that we are maturing together, that we are one body, that we are one building being built together, and we're all part of one another. And we should be very open. The wounds of a friend. That's what we learn. So we want the wounds of a friend instead of the kisses of an enemy. And the wounds of a friend, sometimes it hurts in the beginning, but we know it is for our best because we want the best for each other. That's the environment of church. This is a safe environment. This is a family. So the first thing we learned, the first advice, if we want to live a life that is a restoration of relationships constantly, the way we confront people and the way we confront it is the way we conform to Jesus' image. We become more like Jesus when we behave like he did in his confrontational moments. Very rarely Jesus would have something public to say. And when he did, it was actually to the people who were the closest to him, because he knew they would have to take it. He knew that there will be challenges that they will face just like that. So first thing, the way we confront is the way we conform. If we want to become like Jesus, we got to confront like Jesus. We're not just bursting out on people like, oh, you did this, you did that. Nah, that's not the point. We're here to correct each other and walk this journey with each other together as a family, as one body. The way we reconcile problems, situations, circumstances is the way we reconnect with God and with our spiritual side. And what I mean by this is this: if we don't know how to deal with people, it's very likely we have the wrong idea about God. John said that, the apostle said, you can't say you love God if you don't know how to demonstrate love for people. Those who are just around you, just close by, you can't even love on them. How are you telling me that you love God? You see, our relationships working horizontally they're just an indication of how our vertical relationship works. Yes, we want to love God, but when Jesus was asked what was the greatest commandment, what most people miss out on is this. He said, there are two, but the second is just like the one, which means like they're actually just one, divided in two parts, but they're equally important. You love God and you love people. The way you reconcile is the way you reconnect. And Jesus was all about reconciliation. We are called to carry a ministry of reconciliation. Reconciliation means bring peace again. You know, when two nations are at war and they reconcile, they can live in peace again. We were at war with God. You know, the letter to the Romans, in the letter to the Romans, Paul says that while we were still enemies at war, God gave his son for us. He reconciled. And Jesus, what Jesus does on the cross is that he gets all his righteousness, and then he transfers his righteousness to us while we transfer the weight of our sin to him. And once that happens, we have peace again with God. We can stay in the same place. There is no borders. There is no divisions. There is no distance between us and God, because now the one and only mediator that we have between mankind and God, Jesus, has built the bridge and is the door and is the way. So we reconnect. So the way we reconcile, meaning the way we deal with problems, is how we reconnect with God and our spiritual side. And it's all about reconnection. It's all about bringing it back together. We were separated when sin came into the world, and Jesus came to bring us back together. So in our relationships, the relationships that change us, our friendships and our mentors and our family, the goal is always to restore and never to destroy. We're not here to destroy relationships. We're here to restore relationships. Number 3, and this is very practical, the way we are personal, or how we are personal, is how we become one people. I love this picture in the Bible that says that we are one body. And, you know, some of us are fingers in the hand, some of us are arms, and Jesus is the head and he commands the church. But we're all part of each other, which means that if I hurt my right arm, the left arm is going to feel it. The whole body is going to feel it. And in church, unfortunately, we have come to this point where, you know, we treat things separately. You know, that's your business, that's my business. And no, it's not supposed to do that. It's not supposed to be like that, because you know, when you come to someone and say, look, I've got something to talk to you, and I've been feeling this and I've been seeing this, but hey, don't take it personally. What do you mean by don't take it personally? Of course I'll take it personally. You're talking to me. You're not talking to the wall. You're not talking to your computer. This is not ChatGPT. This is not Google. This is not artificial intelligence. You're not talking to a robot. You're talking to a human being. Of course I'll take it personally. And I'm supposed to take it personally. And you're supposed to address me personally. So you come to me and say, you know what? We're part of the same body. I feel like I have the freedom to invade your privacy at this matter. Obviously, you've spent enough time and you've developed enough relational equity. All of this has to take place. You know, no one will ever listen to an advice from someone that they've never done life with. This is just ridiculous. It doesn't happen. You know, we don't disciple anyone by distance. This that you're seeing here, this is not discipleship. This is just transferring of information. That's what it is. You go to church on Sunday, that's not discipleship. That's just transferring information. Yes, we have a service. Yes, we got songs and preaching and all of that. And this is all beautiful. I love all of that. It serves a purpose, not discipleship purpose. It might be part of your discipleship, attending to something that makes you think and develop and grow, but that's not it. Discipleship happens around here and on the table, doing life on a day-to-day. So when you come to someone to resolve a conflict, to restore a relationship, you say, look, I'm taking something really personally here, and it might hurt. Bear with me. Forgive me in advance. I want to say this because I care about you and I love you. That's personal. And if someone responds like, oh, bro, like that's not of your business, just keep it to yourself. No, it is of my business. It is our business. You know, a lot of people will say back in the days that salvation is an individual thing. No, it's not. It's not. Because God loved the world. God so loved the world that he sent his son to whomever believes in him. So it's a community thing. Obviously, you have to do your part into your salvation and all of that. But let's take that individualistic idea out of our faith, out of our way of living and thinking. It is communal, and it is my business, and it is your business. And you have to have the freedom to come to me and say, look, bro, I've seen something, and I think you need to change. This is my perspective. Maybe just take the humble step, you know. Maybe I'm seeing from a different perspective. Maybe there are things that I don't see, and I'm making a judgment, and the judgment is wrong, and it's okay. I just want to put it out there, and you can tell me, and we respectfully listen to each other, and we walk one more mile. That's it. So First, the way we confront is the way we conform to Jesus' image. Second, the way we reconcile is the way we reconnect. Third, the way we are personal is how we become one people. We will only develop the intimacy and the freedom to get into each other's businesses if we are very personal about it. And last but not least, this is an extra point. Last but not least, the way we receive rebuke is the way we open the door to restore relationships. How we receive is how we restore. Because most of the times we look at situations where there are problems and we listen to the preacher saying from the stage or someone saying something really good on the internet, on YouTube or whatever, and we say, such and such a person should listen to this, should do that. And we are never in the wrong. We are never the character in the wrong. We're never the villains. In David and Goliath, we are always David. We're never Goliath. Between angels and demons, we are always the angels, never the demons. We're always blaming Adam, but we would have done the same. So we need to stop thinking like, shame on you for doing this, and we got to stop thinking, woe of me that live in the midst. Like Isaiah said, I live in the midst of a people who have, they all their ways are wrong, and my ways are wrong. So we got to turn the table around every now and again and say, you know what, maybe I'm the wrong one. And the way we receive our correction, the way we receive the rebuke, is how we open the door to restore relationships. At the end of the day, to restore relationships, to solve problems, to resolve conflicts, we have to keep the door open. If every time someone comes to you and say, look, I want to point something out, and you go like, nah, I don't need that, and you put your guards up and you defend yourself and you're always on the defensive. Remember I said when we shared about mentors, if you take the fence down, you remove the offense out. So you just bring the fence down, man. Bring the guard down. Be vulnerable. Be opened. That doesn't mean be silly. There's a lot of childish things happens in church. Nowadays, we have a lot of boys with beards and not enough men in church, so they don't own up to their actions. So there is that too. We got to fix that. But when we're talking about relationships and restoration of relationships, at some point, we have to understand that, we could be the ones that are wrong. Even if we're offering something, we could be the ones that are wrong. So how I receive it is how I keep the door open to restoring relationships. And the reason why I'm saying this is because like I've said before, I've got many good friends who are also mentors who have come to me time and time again saying, look, you got to change this. And it's literally a step in the front, like Dan shared a couple of messages ago. It's just literally a step in the front. And when they do that, at the first glance, it hurts. And I go like, damn, man, why did you need to do that? Why didn't, couldn't we just go on a different route? We just leave it alone? It's none of your business, But no. They love you enough. I said it before. They love you enough. They're not impressed. They come to you with the truth. They tell you like it is. And when they do it, you respectfully listen and do this. If you do that, if you respectfully listen and listen with an open heart, like we say it in our community all the time, we need to develop a soft heart and a thick skin, because that might be offensive. It might hurt in the beginning, but if you have a soft heart and an open mind to take it on board and go like, you know what? The reason why they're doing this is because they want to restore this relationship. This relationship was broken at some point, and I don't even notice. I have no idea it was broken because I'm living in my own bubble, and I think I'm doing everything right, but that's not what it is. So how do I go about this? I take the humble position, and I listen, and I take it to God, and I pray about it. And 10 times out of 10, if you listen and pray about it, you will see that there was something for you in that advice. And that's how we restore relationships. Now, the series has been amazing. We talked about, like I said in the beginning, we talked about the family of God, how we belong to a family without doing anything to deserve it. We talked about friends, the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people. We talked about mentors. Whew, I love that one. And then we talked about how to resolve conflicts, or better, how to restore relationships. Now, I really hope this series has been a blessing to you, because I feel like this is extremely important. I feel like this is one of the key series on the practical level that we need to really get our heads on. We really need to learn how to build this intentional relationships, because God has called us to live in a community, as a group, as a people, as a family. And if we want to do that, we surely need to understand. Surely we need to understand this dynamic better: the family dynamic, the friends dynamic, the mentors dynamic, and the problems dynamics. Yeah. So. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been really cool. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you haven't watched the other messages, it will make sense to you, I hope. So you can go back on the cards right here and you can watch the other messages, and you can subscribe to the channel if you want to get messages like this all the time. And or not all the time, but every week. And yeah, leave your comment with what you learned, if it's been practical to you. I try to make it practical. That's the idea. Look, this will never replace church. This will never replace being in the family. The intention with this is not to become famous or to influence anyway, I guess, in any way, shape or form. It's a way for us to help spread this even further. I believe that what we're getting in our community is really good, and there might be some other people who maybe they can't experience this community. And again, if you're on the Gold Coast and if you want to see with your own eyes, come along, man. Come on Sunday. Come to our church. It's called Gold Coast Chapel. You can Google it, and if you get there and if you don't know anyone, you can look for me. I promise you, I'll try my best to make you feel right at home. So you can just come. It's Sunday mornings. It's beautiful. We have our community there. You love it. But if you're not here, if you can't make it, at least you can get a portion of what we're going through, at least on the level of information. This is us transferring information to you, and you can do with it whatever you feel like. Okay? So I hope it's blessed you. You have a great week, and I'll see you on the next one. God bless.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.